Yeah, I got caught with something, and the ref jumped in, and that's that. I gave him an excuse to stop it, and I mean, people can argue whether or not it's early or not, but you never know what happens after, right? And it's like I can't take any credit away from my opponent either, man. I never do that. It's not my style, man. I got hit. The reason why the sequence happened is because I got hit. I dropped my guard for a second, and something happened, and then I gave the ref an excuse to jump in. So, yeah.
Do you agree with the stoppage?
Hey, you know what? I have to agree. Like I said, the refs always warn us if there's any excuse for them to stop it, they'll stop it, and that's just the way the sport is. For all I know, maybe I would have survived. Maybe he would have hit me again. I don't know. By the same token, they're trying to take care of us and make sure we go back to our families, and that's just the way the sport is.
What did Yves say to you, and what did you say to him?
I was obviously trying to tell him I was okay, but he had already made his decision. He's not going to go back on it, and I respect Yves as a referee. I mean, he's reffed other fights before, and we talked about it. We laughed, and they said, you know what? Thank you for protecting me too, right? And I don't know what would happen after that, and it is what it is. I gave Yves an excuse to jump in and protect me, and I got hit, and all the credit to my opponent.
He's a veteran, and obviously you know him well because he's Canadian too and worked the circuits here. Are you surprised that he didn't give you a little extra second, maybe?
You know what? Things happen so fast. It's hard being a referee. I wouldn't want that job. You want to protect the fighters. And by the same token, you also want to give them a chance to try to, come back or whatnot. But sometimes it is what it is. Like I said, I got hit with something, and that's my fault. So I accept that. I have nothing but good things to say about my opponent. I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I felt I was doing well, and I think my strategy was working. My takedown defense was good, and my team was great, and you know what? I got caught. What can I do? One split second, and that was it.
What's the next step for you?
Don't know. UFC can decide whatever they want to do with me, I guess. Hopefully they still want me around and feel I'm an exciting fighter. And funny thing is, I felt like my last performance down here was kind of lackluster, so I really wanted to come down here and make it more exciting. I guess it was kind of exciting because there was some sort of finish, but and we had some good exchanges and some scrambles and things like that in the feet. So hopefully they still think I'm valuable as far as entertaining people in fights and giving me a chance to go out there and compete again.
Tony, were you surprised that Darren chose to make it more of a boxing match? Because I know we kind of thought it would be a wrestling match.
Well, you know what? I knew that he was going to try to throw his hands regardless because he knew he needed to do that in order to get into that distance, and he tried to take me down a few times. I was prepared for it, but at the same time, that's kind of what made he allowed him to land the shot because I was starting to worry about his takedowns, and he was starting to shoot deeper and deeper, and I was defending harder and harder. So. Like I said, he played a strategy really, really well. This is not a kickboxing match, Sometimes you get hit with things that aren't exactly what you consider normal in other striking martial arts, right? So you got to keep your guard up. You got to use proper distance, and maybe at some point I felt I was getting too comfortable, and I dropped my guard, and sometimes that happens too. I thought my distance I was starting to find my distance, and next thing you know, I'm the one getting hit. So.
How clear-headed were you? I mean, he seems like he caught you with one right hand, and maybe he didn't realize that it kind of stuck you pretty well, and then he followed up. And how were you feeling right about then?
He did for sure. He rocked me absolutely. I knew when he hit me right in the temple and discombobulated me for sure. And I was obviously trying to keep my feet underneath me, and I don't think he realized it right off the bat. So I was hoping that obviously I would get a chance to give it. He came in hard after, and I put my hands up and I was ready to defend myself. But again, I don't. Who knows what would happen after that? I don't know.
You seem to be taking that remarkably well. I mean, a lot of guys, I think, with a stoppage that was somewhat controversial would be here, complaining about it, and you seem like you're at peace with it already.
I don't know if it's that. I've always been like this. And this is, I got into this sport for a lot of different reasons, and just being in the UFC is just it's something I never thought that I would be here. So, I've been competing for a long time all over the world, and I started this when, it wasn't popular. So I just love to do this stuff. I respect all the guys that compete, and I respect all the guys that are out here because I know how hard they train. If they train, half as hard as me, I respect them. So it is what it is, man. It's whoever's night, and that's that. And he moves forward, and I got to go back to the drawing board again. That's just the way the sport is, man. I'm way past that. If I was in my early 20s, maybe I'd think differently, but not now.
What is it that you love about fighting? Like, how do you feel when you're in the ring?
It's hard to describe because you go through so many emotions, and I went through every single emotion today, from fear to feeling like I could beat anybody, and doubt starts to come in and all sorts of things. But you feel so alive, and as scary as that is, it's when you get out there and you touch gloves and you're ready to go and the crowd starts to go, and it's just, there's always, I don't mind, like, there's a lot of things that I'm uncomfortable doing to get to the fight sometimes. I'm a pretty private guy for the most part. I like to keep to myself, and I just love martial arts, but I'll go through all of that just so I can get in there and compete, and I love to do it. As hard as it is sometimes to get to that point, to finally get in there. Like, for me, this whole week, it's I have to do what the UFC wants me to do, and it's hard for me. I like to be at home with my dog and my family, and all of a sudden I'm in a hotel and waiting to do what I love to do, and I got to go through all these things, and it's just part of the job, and I have to do it, and I understand that, and I'm willing to do that in order to get in there and compete and perform.